Okay, welcome to, let's call this Obsessed Garage. I've got probably 45 pressure washers behind me. I have several more coming. I think a total of 51 that I bought. I've had this project or this idea in my head a while. I'm going to be honest with you, it's a little selfish in that by far, by a mile, the most questions I get in email, in Instagram DMs, in Facebook messages is what quick disconnects do I need to modify my pressure washer? What gun should I use? What nozzle size should I use? And this has been in my head for a while to just frickin' buy every single one of them I can get my hands on. And this is the start. There's probably another 50 more that I need to work through. But this is the start of me figuring out what each and every pressure washer entry level from zero to whatever it costs, what it needs, and I'm going to create a database, and then I'm going to use that database to provide people with the information in Obsessed Garage or on obsessedgarage.com. I'm going to figure out how to make drop down so make it really simple. Okay, you have the 1800 PSI Greenworks. This is model number, whatever the heck it is. This is model number GPW 1800. So you went to Lowe's, you bought a GPW 1800, you've had it for a while, you're tired of dealing with the crappy hose, you want a new gun, or you want to figure out a way to quick disconnect the hose. What fittings do you need? Is it M22 14 millimeters? Is it M22 15 millimeter? Is it, do I need brass or stainless? What do I need? How much output am I actually getting? Is the 1800 PSI on this actually 1800 PSI? Of course it's not. But is it 1800 PSI? Are they actually getting me, what are these rated at 1.2 gallons per minute? All the Greenworks are rated. Is the SunJoe worth the extra money in getting the brushless motor? I'm going to answer all those questions throughout this project. Now what I'm not going to do is do a video of unboxing every one of these. I don't have that much interest in it. You don't want to watch that and watch me complain the whole way through. Most of these are very cheap. The motors in these things are like this big. These things weigh, this weighs probably, the pressure washer, once I get it out of the box, probably weighs 18 pounds. These things are plastic. They're not high quality. They have cheap parts, cheap components. But I do understand where people are at. Not everybody's going to buy a commercial grade, industrial grade, either I guess it's pronounced Karcher, a yellow Karcher. We'll call it Karcher for now until I learn how to pronounce it. So Karcher has a professional line, or Krenzla is a professional grade product. That's my bag. That's what I'm interested in. But I do believe that some of these may be really viable. And so we're going to figure out which one. So what I figured I'd do is just kind of talk about what the project will entail while I unbox some of these. What I'm first doing is kind of learning as I unbox each one of these and put them together. All the Karchers are put together. I took one of these AR blues out and put that one together. AR appears to be probably the most problematic. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 fittings to make this quick disconnectable. And you have things like a hose reel. The hose reel is useless because you can't have the hose on the reel and have it connected to the gun and the pressure washer. It's more for, I guess, storage when you're done. You take the hose off and you wrap it up, which I don't think anybody would ever do. So, for me, I would take this darn hose reel off and get rid of it. I would probably upgrade the hose. I would upgrade the gun. And so I'm going to create different options for people to grow into or to build up to. Let me get this one out of the way. I've been sticking with, shoot. I've been sticking with opening up one brand at a time. I got sidetracked because somebody was asking me. I got an email where someone was asking me about what they needed for the AR. So I pulled it out and figured out what they need. This is also going to lead to an exercise of me going to manufacturers of quick disconnects. And yeah, see, these hoses are just so bad. They immediately kink. This hose isn't going to last long at all. This is one of the better hoses out of all the hoses that I've opened up thus far. The difficulty of all of this is that a lot of the fittings for a lot of these pressure washers don't really exist, and that's why we have 14 different fittings in order to get it to quick disconnect, because they're using non-standard sizes that really aren't available. And so, you know, SunJoe's notorious for that, AR as well, where they use 15 millimeter fittings and everybody makes 14 millimeter fittings. That's the standard size fitting. My suspicion is that, I don't know why these Greenworks appeal to me most. You know, if I was 22 and making 35,000 bucks and I love my whatever, my WRX, or I love my GTI, and I spent all of my money on it, I would probably buy something like this. And my initial gut reaction is that Greenworks seems to, at least Greenworks appeals to me the most out of all of these. I believe, we're about to find out here in a second, I believe these all use standard fittings. And this, I can tell you already, is already higher quality than all the Karcher stuff. The Karchers use standard fittings too. It doesn't use 15 millimeter, but they're just much more plasticky. I can already tell this is the better quality machine. So this is the 1800. And like I said, I think these use standard fittings, which will save you some money in fittings and stuff like that. And I think that's what it comes down to with a lot of these. The idea here is to do it on a budget. And, you know, philosophy number one would be, even if you didn't need to be on a budget, just say, you know what, I'm just gonna buy one, beat the crap out of it. I'm not really worried about taking care of it. I'm just gonna use it as long as it lasts and throw it away and go get another one. And then I'll beat that one up and just keep on that cycle of getting a new one every few years. I don't actually know how to do this. I'm just assuming. I haven't had to get the instructions out for too many of these. That is one thing I'll say, you know, all the Karchers were pretty self-explanatory in how you put them together. So the project is gonna look like this. I'm gonna unbox each one of them, put them together, and then I'm gonna figure out what I need to do to get a gauge on it. So I have a pressure gauge. I'll show you that in a minute. And that pressure gauge has to go on with a 3/8 connection. And so I'm having to figure out what quick disconnects I'll need in order to quickly add that gauge into the equation and then get it to read. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the gauge on all these pressure washers with their stock configuration, you know, with their OE gun and wand. And then I'm going to read it. And I'm going to take a bucket. I've been working on getting a flow meter built for these pressure washers. I mean, they really don't exist. There are flow meters for liquids, but I can't find one that's high enough PSI, high enough pressure. And so if you guys can send me a link to one, I'll buy it. But I've been talking to a company that's going to make me one. It's going to cost me like $1,000 or so. The other option is I cut a hole in my gamma seal, and I'm going to stick the tip in there. I'm going to stick this in there, and I'm going to start a stopwatch. I'm going to do it all equal with every pressure washer. Start the stopwatch. I'm going to hold it. I just bought a gallon measuring pitcher with a really precision scale on the side. I'm going to take the bucket, I'm going to dump it in there, I'm going to read it. Let's say this actually does 1.2 gallons per minute. I'm going to measure the gallon, dump the gallon out, and then dump whatever's left and see what it actually puts out with the stock configuration. So that'll give me flow. So I'm going to document all of that so we'll know what the actual flow is, not what these bogus numbers are on the side of the, you know, inside of the boxes. So we'll get a true flow number. I'm also going to measure amperage. So I bought one of these things. So this is a Fluke. I think these are pretty legit meters. I'm going to grab what the, you know, what the amperage output is, or what the draw is on these. You know, because these all have a motor and they're rated. It's again some bogus amperage number, and so I'm going to read that and document that, you know, with the standard configuration. And then I'm going to start to modify. And by modify, I mean I'm going to add quick disconnects. I'm going to change out the gun. I'm going to change out the hose. And I'm going to have options. So option one, because I'm not going to sell these pressure washers. I'm not interested in that. Even if there's one of these that I really like, I'm just not going to do it. I don't want to deal with the warranty claims and the issues of it. So I'll let you buy these wherever you want. But what I'm going to offer is, you know, option one is going to be just quick disconnects for the OE setup, the original setup, the original gun, wand, hose, and all of that stuff. So I'm going to offer a quick disconnect package. That's option one. Option two is going to be quick disconnect package with a new gun. a new gun, wand, foam cannon, you know, as an option. Option 3 is going to be a new hose, right? And then option 4 will be new hose, gun, wand, and foam cannon. So there's going to be, and I might have to make it a little bit more sophisticated. What I'm hoping to be able to use is my configurator. So you'll be able to go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and you can choose, you know, do I want, if I have a foam cannon, do I want just the gun? And I don't care about the wand. You know, what do I want? Do I already have nozzles, or do I want different nozzles? And so we'll work our way through all of that stuff. And so you'll have options on what to buy and how to buy it, and I'll become the source of that. Interesting, these tips are not rated. They don't tell you what they are. The darn Karchers, the tip says an 8.0. So if you're not familiar with these things, let's see, how does this go? I'm assuming this goes somewhere here. So if you're not familiar with pressure washers and how they work, you know, this is a hole, right? There's a hole in this. The bigger the hole, the less pressure, the more flow. The smaller the hole, the more pressure, the less flow you would get, technically. Now, this machine is outputting a certain amount of water, so it's flowing a certain amount of water, and what it's going to attempt to do, it's going to attempt to push that same amount of water no matter what the hole size is. So we shouldn't see significant fluctuations in GPM, based on how much pressure we're getting. But all of these things are rated at their GPM rating on them. SunJoe, all these goofy pressure washers, they're rated at 100 psi. So we're going to figure out if they're rating it at 100 psi or if they're rating it at whatever psi the output of this setup is. Because I read one yesterday. The 2,000 psi Karcher did 1,600 psi. So that's a pretty significant difference. What is that? That's a 20% difference between what it's rated and what it actually put out. So that's pretty significant. Now I did have a 40-degree nozzle on it, so maybe if you had a 0 degree, if they provided a 0 degree, maybe it would have done a little bit closer, but it still would have fallen short of 2,000. So, or maybe there's just some drivetrain loss that we're not accounting for. But I'm going to measure all that stuff, and I'm going to make the conditions the same for every one of them. So the pressure really doesn't matter. What matters is what is it relative to other options. What are you getting? And I also did a really quick test. The Karcher, the 2,000 psi version that I tested real quickly just to figure out what my test conditions are going to be. It looked like it put out pretty close to 1.3 gallons per minute with its stock hose. That one appears to be maybe rated a little bit more accurately. So again, I've already started a spreadsheet, and then I'm going to come up with all these packages so people won't have to try to figure this out. This stuff is difficult, man. I mean, I've been messing with pressure washers for a while, and then people have forced me to figure it out on a lot of different options because I have quick disconnects in the store, and the original intent of all of this was just to provide people with a solution for Krensla, and then it turned into, we have these great guns, the Mosmatic and the MPM stuff, and then people started buying those because there's just no resource for this. You go to all the pressure washing stores and companies, and they just don't. I don't understand why they wouldn't have done this, but they just don't. They don't do what I'm doing. The plan here with these is to sell them when I'm done with them. So I'm gonna sell all these modified, so with all the stuff you need. Gun, wand, hose, foam cannon, getting the right foam cannon orifice and all that is all gonna be vetted and checked out. I'm not doing any long-term testing on this stuff. I'm not that interested in these. What I'm mainly interested in is capturing those of you that are willing to modify your pressure washer. Because I think if you're willing to modify your pressure washer, you're going to be willing to sort of consume my style for the longer term. And so this is my business wager, right? I'm wagering. I guess there's nowhere to put this thing, which we're not going to use anyway. That's the turbo nozzle. All right, so this particular one, let's check our fitting here. I believe, yeah, these are definitely 14 millimeter. When I'm talking about 14 millimeter, I'm talking about the size of this. Right, so we have this hole. So I'm talking about the internal diameter of this. This is an M22 fitting. This is an M22 fitting. Notice they screw in together. You can screw one onto the other. So this hole is 14 millimeters, and this grommet, this rubber section, this rubber grommeted internal section is designed to butt up to one another and seal. So technically this type of fitting doesn't need tape. The standard connection in the industry for pressure washing is 14 millimeters. And the SunJoes, the ARs, some of these, these cheap Chinese built pressure washers, these highly marketed pressure washers, don't use a standard size fitting. And so for the longest time, none of these fittings existed, because quick disconnecting pressure washers, although it's been around forever, is kind of frowned upon. You know, you really shouldn't be quick disconnecting your pressure washer because this will affect our output to some extent. You know, and that's something that I think a lot of manufacturers would recommend against. So actually what I'm going to do, yeah, so these are standard fittings. You can tell because this went in. If it didn't fit, like on the AR that I showed you earlier, the AR, if it didn't fit, then you would have to you'd have to get the, or actually I take that back. If a female 14 millimeter will fit into a 15 millimeter outlet here, it won't seal, right? So it won't seal properly. So let me go grab a 15 millimeter fitting. This is one of my older used. So that's a 14 and that's a 15. See how it's milled out or bored out there? So that connection is a little different, right? So there's a bigger hole there. So if I try to take, this is a 15 millimeter female, if I try to take and put a 14 millimeter in there, it won't fit. But if I take the 15 millimeter, they fit. And I can screw that together. And so if I try to take this 15 and try to get it to fit on this Greenworks, good, see, it won't fit. So the Greenworks uses a standard size 14 millimeter fitting. And so what I'm going to figure out is, okay, you don't want to spend the money on a new hose because, you know, a good hose is expensive. I don't think it does you any good to buy some crappy Amazon hose. It's the same crap as this. So you're either going to buy like a hose, like an expensive hose, like a Cobra Jet hose that's going to cost you 80 bucks, or you don't do it. Just stick with the hose that it came with and only replace it when you have to. And so notice there's water coming out of these. A lot of times they test these pressure washers, at least hopefully they do. And so what I would do here is I could take this fitting which has a, and these are always snug. So this is what confuses people, because these hose fittings are still very snug and hard to get to grab, at least initially. But I think you have to resign yourself to, okay, I'm going to buy this $120 pressure washer, and I'm going to upgrade it for the future of whatever upgraded pressure washer I end up with, something that's a little better. And I am going to be testing a lot of the mid-tier stuff. All right, so that's how that connection would go. So I'm going to vet all of this and all these. I'm not going to show this to you in this video, but I'm going to vet all of these connections and figure out what makes sense. So you can tell that a lot of these guns are made in the same spot because the Greenworks, they take and they put a plastic insert in here into the inlet of the gun to make it 14 millimeter. So normally it's 15, and they make it 14 to fit whatever cheap hose they decided to add and make the gun work. And so the way that this would work is you would take, and again, I'll have to figure out what do I do. Nobody makes a stainless steel 3/8 coupler that goes direct to male M22, at least not yet. I have, here's a prototype right here. The big questions I have to answer is, do I just stick with brass? Do I, you know, this is already a brass, so these things are brass, zinc-plated brass. But these aren't the issue. These things last forever. It's the couplers that if I use brass couplers, they're nowhere near as nice as stainless couplers. But again, nobody makes this in a stainless coupler, and so here's a prototype. Now this is going to be Swiss made, super high quality. This is probably going to be 18 or 20 bucks or something like that. Much more expensive than you'll probably want to buy for a machine like this. So the question is, do I do this $9 part, which is adapted? So we have a coupler to twist and seal plug to then connect to the hose in order to maintain this better, this better, longer lasting coupler, or do I do this $5 part, which has it all self-contained? So I'll have to make that decision for everybody, so I'll just have to decide. I mean, this is the inexpensive way to do it. These are two, I think, $5 parts, something like that. So there's 10 bucks in connections to get that to work, 10 bucks in connections to get that work, so there's 20 bucks and you're ready to roll. You can put a foam cannon, I believe, right into here. So you need another $3 plug so 23 bucks, and you've got a quick disconnected system for these pressure washers that use the proper size fittings that don't need adapters to make it work. Because again, no one makes a 15mm version of this. They will at some point, but nobody makes it now. I'm working with MTM to get that stuff made, and so these are going to be options that people have. These get complicated, so if I go option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, if there's too many options, it's going to be too complicated. So I'm going to have to make that decision, play with the software, figure out how this is going to work. And so here's my tested environment, my tested equipment. This is how we're going to do it, and how we're going to figure out how to make this work. So this is the testing environment. I'm putting quick disconnects on because what I'm going to do is take a gauge. So here's my pressure gauge. I'm going to take a gauge. I'm going to put it in line. This is really the only way to do it. And then this is going to tell me what my pressure is, what my output is. So I take the gauge. And I'm probably going to do, I haven't thought about that yet. I need to pick a standard nozzle, but I'm probably going to take a 40-degree nozzle of some sort, and I'm going to turn the thing on, and it's going to tell me what my pressure gauge sensor is, or what my pressure output is, and that's how we're going to test. So the spreadsheet's going to have rated pressure, tested pressure, rated GPM, tested GPM. It's going to have rated amperage, tested actual amperage draw. It's going to have weight, what it weighs. That'll give you an idea, some sense of quality, what it retails. Does it have total stop or not? Does it turn off or does it just run? What is the SPL? So how loud is it? So I have a decibel meter. I'm probably going to do it, maybe measure at 10 feet. So I'm going to put a tape measure on the ground and I'm going to measure at 10 feet. And then I'm going to compile all of that for all the pressure washers. And then after all that data is captured, then I'm going to start figuring out, okay, which quick disconnects do I need to make the OE gun work? Can I get a foam cannon with the OE gun or not? The Karchers, you're out of luck. Not going to happen. Can't do a foam cannon with most of their system because they have these proprietary plugs. So you're going to have to upgrade to a new gun in order to make the Karchers work, and probably some of these others. So I'm going to have a matrix setup or a drop-down setup. That Greenworks are going to be pretty simple. You need 2 and 2 fittings. So I need 2 fittings to make it work, or 4 fittings. I need the 2 more or 4 more fittings for the garden hose. To connect to my garden hose. At least 2. You need a coupler and a plug. And then a coupler and a plug on the other end if you want an inlet hose. Do you need an inlet hose or not? That kind of option is going to be available. And then from there, hey, let's get rid of this. Let me grab one. Let's put an upgraded gun and wand. So let's say that you bought this with the intent to buy the Krensel someday, or some other higher-end pressure washer, and so if you have all these quick disconnects, you'll be ready to roll. And that's why I'd probably recommend stainless. So you'll have the option: do I want just a gun? Do I want the gun and the wand? Do I want the gun, wand, foam cannon? Do I want to upgrade that? How do I want that to look? Do I want to be able to do I want to choose that? And so I'm going to provide all these solutions to people. And I know, I mean, this is probably going to be the most popular thing that I sell in the world, and I don't want to say I hate it, but it's not my plan. This is not fun to me, to have to deal with these cheap machines. What is fun to me is compiling the data. So I'm jazzed. I mean, I got up this morning. I'm like, I got to get to the garage. I got to get to the garage. I have to remind myself, this doesn't exist. Nobody cares. I mean, well, I can do this whenever I feel like it, but don't worry, I'm putting enough pressure on myself. Question's going to be, what data do I need to provide with this? Because I'm also going to size these properly. And I haven't quite figured out what that's going to look like. Let's say, for instance, this is a 2.0 size nozzle. Let me look at this. Yeah, this is probably 2.5 or 3. Right, is the size of the output. That's the size of the hole. So if 8 is this big, then 3 is this big. So what I can do is I can go get a different orifice nozzle and put it on here. Maybe if this is reading 1600 psi, maybe I want to open up the hole a little bit and dumb the pressure down. What I haven't figured out yet is the perfect pressure for a Krenzla is 900 psi. So I'm getting 900 psi out of the tip. I'm flowing, roughly 2.1 gallons per minute. I'm going to measure that too and compare. And so I'm flowing 2.1. I have 900 psi coming out of this thing. That's the perfect pressure. Now the question is, if I'm only flowing 1 gallon per minute, is 900 psi still the right pressure to clean? And I'm gonna just make that executive decision when I hold it up against a wheel out there. What's the best pressure? Is the flow going to affect how much pressure I want in order to get the job done to clean the car? I don't want so much pressure that I stand the chance to damage the paint. And so that's what we're going to figure out when we kind of dig through this project. I'm going to make the decision for you. But you'll be able to see it, and you'll be able to make adjustments if you want to. So if you're really into it and you want to use my data to make other adjustments, you can. And I'm hopefully going to be able to configure that in the store where people will be able to figure that stuff out. And who knows? Maybe I'll take these packages to Amazon as well. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do there. But I'm certainly going to have it in my store to start, and then we'll go from there and see how this system works. But what I intend to do, again, have drop down. Which Greenworks do you have? Okay, because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there are 9 different Greenworks pressure washers. So we're gonna figure that out and work through that. All right, so this pressure washer's opened and ready to test. As I got my quick disconnects figured out, and we'll holster this here. I can already tell, depending on how these work, I can already tell, and these all have like the same power cord on it. It's the same type of GFI switch, but I can already tell that these Greenworks are a little bit nicer. So put one of these on here so this will be ready to go. Oh, what am I doing? Power cord goes right here. Interesting, just a regular old power cord with a GFI on it. So there's our 1800 psi Greenworks. It's funny, all of them are so concerned about this soap dispenser that they just only freaking work. So first thing I would do on my machine, I just yank the darn soap dispenser off, because you're never going to use the thing. The amount of soap you get out of this will just dribble out of it. So let's unbox another one, and I'll keep chatting you up here. So like I was saying, no one really makes a flow meter like this. Let's open up one of the real cheapies. Let's open up the 1500. This one doesn't even get a fancy marketed box. You know what's so stupid? Like freaking SunJoe or Karcher. I mean, why do you need 20 pressure washers? Just make like 3. And because what happens is, I think, is these Chinese companies, they just have them, and they're like, well, we can brand this one and market it and capture an extra customer. That just rubs me the wrong way. My business, Obsessed Garage, I'm intending to build it the opposite way. I could probably offer every drying aid on the planet, or offer a bunch of different soaps, for washing your car. But instead, why would I do that? Why don't I just offer the soap that I use? Offer the this? Why don't I offer just the best option? There are different applications, right? And there's different needs and different applications. And I'm sure that over time, these companies develop different products. And so, you know, I mean, there is, I guess, some need for different models, but why do you need 17 of them? Even, you know, a lot of the Krenzel stuff doesn't make sense to me. You know, why do they have so many darn models? All it does is confuse people. So yeah, this is the beauty of the Greenworks here, is that I could just stick with all standard stuff, all basic standard fittings. They're real simple, and then we don't need a lot of complication with different funky fittings. So all I need for this, here's my garden hose inlet. So I need a garden hose adapter. So this is part of the reason why I bought every single one of these. One was to test them, but two, like from Karcher to Karcher, there are different fittings needed. You know, there's a different connection on the K4 and K5s than there is on the K4 and K5 Premium. And then there's different connections on all the 2000, 1800, or the K2000, the K1800, the K1900. Yeah, so they have a K2000, K1800, sorry, K2000, K1900, K1800, K1700, K1700 Cube. All the same pressure washer. All exactly the same. It's a bit ridiculous. But that's been the age-old typical retail model in pretty much any product. Let's make 17 steps to try to capture the entire audience. I don't know, I just don't like that model. Maybe I'm the only idiot. Why don't I just give the audience one choice? Here's the best option. Here's the best I can do. That's why I have the 1122 and the 1322 TS in my store. But then again, I'm not a retailer, I'm more of a consultant providing a retail environment to purchase. So just know that these are 14 millimeter fittings on your Greenworks, but you have to fight them a little bit to get them to grab. So you see how simple these are, and I believe the Ryobis are the same. I'm pretty certain Ryobis are the same, where these all bolt right up with a couple of quick fittings. 4 fittings. You could be up and running with quick disconnects, so you don't have to leave your hose attached all the time. Same thing with your garden hose, and boom, you know, you're up and running with the little 1500 psi machine. I pull my nozzle off here. Boom. So keep an eye out for more videos on this project as I work through it, and then keep an eye out for a bonanza of these to be back out in the wild as I send them on their way. I'm not going to keep these, and again, the one thing I'm not going to do is durability test them. It's kind of pointless. They're all junk, so there's not going to be any durability to any of these. You might get lucky, and yours last a while, a few years. I know that. I love it when I see things like that on the internet, where somebody's, you know, that their case is the only case that matters. Well, I've had this for 4 years. Well, what about the 1,000 other people that have had it for 6 months? Your one case doesn't matter. Maybe it matters to you, but it doesn't matter to me. Look at this little thing. I think it's gonna be funny when a lot of these little ones outperform the big ones, or they perform the same, because chances are these all have pretty similar pumps in them. Again, something about these Greenworks seem a lot simpler. They're certainly much simpler than the really highly marketed ones. You know, the SunJoe is just, it's one of those typical highly marketed products. Flexzilla, SunJoe, what else comes to mind? Trying to think of other highly marketed things that they do a good job of reaching. F11 top coat. These are all junk. Just regular stuff. Regular, really, really cheap stuff that they spend lots and lots of money in marketing it. And so they spend half their margin on marketing it. And the margins are really high because the product is really, really cheap to build. Not really my bag. And that's what the frustrating part about this whole project for me is. I'm not interested in any of these. And I'm sure I'll take tons of heat for this, because I'm going to have lots of comments that are real comments. like this. I mean, you're guaranteed to ruin this hose. It's gonna kink like in minutes. Not only is it not very pliable, but it's very kink prone. So I'm gonna keep all these boxes, and then once I have all the data I need, we're gonna box it back up. I'm gonna post these somewhere and send them to you. No warranty, you're on your own. I probably won't even sell them at a discount because they're gonna have all the right parts on them. And I'll save you the trouble of having to do that. So I don't know, we'll see. I'll sell it for whatever I gotta sell it for. But my guess is I'll probably be able to move these all onto a new home and get my money back. So imagine I spent, I think it's about 6,000 bucks. It's about $6,000 worth of pressure washers I bought in one day. Hey, that was a stinger. So I'm gonna build the rest of the Greenworks. I'm gonna build the SunJoes. It's probably gonna take me, I'm probably gonna have 6 or 8 hours, probably more than that, probably 10 to 15 hours just unboxing these all and putting them all together. But I want to do it. I don't want to have a bunch of people do it. I want to do it myself so I know I can kind of visualize this all and see each one and have a little time with each one of them. This will also help in the future of me being able to answer people's questions. That is the thing that I get my rocks off on, is I like being able to answer things. I like knowledge. I think most people do like to acquire data and put it in my head, and then be able to, the thing that that drives me to do all this stuff is I really enjoy the process of being able to provide through video, provide that information to whomever cares to view it. So anyway, this project is going to be big. I wanted to cue you in on it and tell you what I'm up to. And then stay tuned. If you have one of these pressure washers or you're interested in buying one of them, there's going to be a solution for you for that progression that I talk about so often. Not everybody gets to start with a Ferrari 488. You start with a Honda Civic and then you work your way up. Maybe you get an M3 and then you get or maybe it's a Civic, then a Type R, and then it's a GTI, and then it's a M3, and then it's a 911, and then it's a GT3, and then it's a GT3 RS, and then it's a, 911 or 918, who knows? That progression, that same progression I get is logical in the world. The problem here, and the thing I'm hoping to answer is, which one of these is a Honda Civic? Because right now, these are all Chevy Cavalier, right? For those of you a little older. These are all, which one is a Honda Civic grade for Honda Civic pricing? Which one would I suggest? Is there one? Is there a Honda Civic level of quality, just without all the bells and whistles that has an appropriate amount of output to get the job done? Which one is it? Is it the SunJoe, the SPX 3001? Is it the is it the 3500? Is it the 3000 Max? Which one fits that void? And hopefully through just spec testing and the weights and the quality, and hopefully I'll come to some sort of conclusion that there's at least one or two that are viable to fit that void, to make those progressive steps. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you don't hate on this too much. Well, keep you posted on the project. I'll probably do a video on each product line, and so I'll probably do a Karcher video, I'll probably do a Greenworks video, an AR video, a SunJoe video, a Ryobi video. So it'll be 5 videos of each one of them. And it's because I don't want to do 57 videos of these, because I don't want to drive away all you guys that aren't interested in this crap. And so I'm going to do probably 5 or 6 videos on all of this stuff, and then maybe some sort of summary or wrap up coming to a conclusion of which one I might recommend, and if any of them. And then, of course, in the store will be all the data that you'll need to be able to make a choice of which one to buy. And hopefully I'll make my money back on these pressure washers, and maybe make a few bucks on it in the future in providing hoses and solutions for all this stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching. I think this is crazy as usual. When people give me a hard time about my $300 buckets, I did the same thing, where I just got a hold of each bucket I could get my hands on in each system and put a system together. And that was after years and years of me trying and failing with different products. And so I think, or at least I hope, there's some value in that. So I'm going to do the same thing with these pressure washers. I'm going to buy also the smaller shelf mount ones, so the mid-tier solutions. That'll be the next project. And then I'll buy all the high-end ones to compare it to the Krensless that we have, and figure out, you know, what makes the most sense longer term. And I intend to do this until the day I die. So I'm going to do this for forever. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more crazy. This is a good one. Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.